What's up, guys? Welcome back. Got another tier list for you guys, right? We got some new content in the game. I'm sure some of you guys are curious how that fits into our pre-existing content. Now, since set 1 is phased out, what are the meta pitchers? So I figure we go in reverse orders. I'll go pitchers, infielders, outfielders. From the last time I did this, probably about 2 weeks to a month ago, somewhere in there. Quick disclaimer, I will put chapters in the video if you just want to skip to the tier list, but people that care about the channel and are long-term subscribers might want to hear some of this. First of all, thank you for the support on the last video. Absolutely outrageous. Probably going to be my best video of the year, if we're being honest here. It's a hitting video. It's going to do well throughout the rest of the year. For sure, probably a video I won't eclipse in views until next year. It got over 7,500 in just over 48 hours, which is insane. Definitely gonna be my highest video of all time for the next little bit. So I want to thank you guys for that support. If you do enjoy the content, a like, a subscription, a share definitely helps spread the content, helps me to help more people. And speaking of helping people, the coaching has gone really well so far. A lot of good reviews, good experiences, nothing but good experiences so far. So I will link that in the description. It has been better and I think more helpful to more people than I had ever thought it would be. So if you do want to book, the Fiverr will be down below. If you do not want to sign up for Fiverr, you can email me. My email is linked in the channel description. I'll give you a rundown of what it is. It has been more helpful than I thought it would be for a lot of people, so that's really cool. It does look like I could get busy, so if you want to get done by like the end of the week, you might want to book now. I'm not sure, how busy it's going to get. But without further ado, let's get into the tier list. So relief pitchers, starting pitchers. This is just every pitcher that is eligible for ranked this season. So Aaron Loop starts off in the S tier, starts off pretty strong. Probably the best lefty specialist in the game. One of the few lefty relievers in the game I feel somewhat comfortable pitching to righties with. He is elite. The next one is Chapman. I feel slightly less comfortable pitching to righties with Chapman, but I do think he is as dominant, if not more dominant, against lefties than Loop is. You just got to try not to be so predictable with him. Another one, this card has had insane longevity. One of the only reasons to do the live series collection is this Billy Wagner. I think a lot of people haven't even had reps against him. This is a card that most people probably haven't even seen. So that has, its own value assigned to it. This Trinan, I don't think is as good as everybody else does. His pars are massive. I used him in the event when he came out, and his pars were huge on All-Star. I can only imagine on Hall of Fame and Legend pitching difficulties what his pars look like. So I have not even started him. Bobby Miller, pretty similar. Big pars, good pitch mix, but he is going to suffer from what I call Corbin Burns syndrome, which we will get to in the future. But he is solid, can take up the back end of a slightly below average rotation, can be a good 4 or 5 starter. Brock Stewart, card I think a lot of people are sleeping on. Might have been the best card from the last monthly, as crazy as that sounds. 5-pitch pitcher with a good pitch mix and elite walks, so he should have pretty small pars. So Brock Stewart is pretty solid in that regard. Camilo Duvall, if you're on Legend or maybe Hall of Fame, he's probably an A. If you are an All-Star player, he is BP. He throws 3 pitches, just not very good. Dibble and Class A are similar, but I think Duvall has a weirder arm slot, so I will give Duvall the bump over those two. Casey Mize has a solid pitch mix, mediocre through 9s, about bang on average. Again, similar to Bobby Miller, he can definitely take up the end of a slightly below average rotation, be a really solid 3, 4, 5. So not a bad card. Morton. Very similar in that same boat. End of the rotation starter. He can do fine in that role. Chris Sale, I want to put in B, but I'll put him in A. I think common consensus is that he's hard to hit. I think you'll find a bunch of top-end players do not struggle against him at all. He is somewhat of a gimmick pitcher. Lefty-lefty, he is really hard to hit, but he kind of throws BP to a lot of righties. Once you start playing against better players that read that arm slot well, he is not that effective. Kershaw, I think, falls somewhat in that category. I think his release is a little hard to read this year. His pitch mix is decent. I think a lot of people that struggle with him throw the curveball way too much. It should be used as like a Gagne curveball, a pitch to really throw hitters off when they're really dialed in on the fastball. So in that regard, I think he is solid. Here is the man I was talking about earlier, Corbin Burnes. First of all, this card is not very good, right? So that's not exactly helping his case here. But what I mean about Corbin Burnes syndrome is ever since like MLB 21, when Corbin Burnes first kind of broke onto the scene and got that monthly card, everybody's just seen him so much. They know what you're going to throw with him. They know all the tunnels that he throws. They know what pitches you want to be throwing with him and where you want to be throwing them. So he does suffer from that, even though he does have very meta pitches and can be a good starter if your opponent has not had a million reps against him. Kimbrel, just great through nines, but just doesn't really have the pitch mix. You can make the argument for A. I'm not going to. I just don't think the pitch mix is there. Devin Williams, very similar to Chris Sale. Basically just the boss card, except he throws 1 mile an hour slower on his fastball. I think as a gimmick pitcher, he is fine, but for that reason, I'm going to put him B. He has an equal chance of shutting your opponent down as he does to getting lit up like a Christmas tree. So, kind of cancels each other out, just makes him mid. This Herman, I've called him the worst 99 I've ever seen. I still kind of stick by that. Just an awful pitch mix and really not even great through nines for what the card probably should be. Yuri Perez, basically like a 2-3 pitch pitcher as a starting pitcher, not what you want. His sinker, his outlier sinker does not top out that much. Most of the time he's throwing it 95, 96, which is just an average sinker for a guy with a really high velo. That outlier does not proc very much on him, and the rest of his pitches are BP. Phillips can be solid. I think a lot of people got a lot of exposure to him last year towards the end of the year with that finest card if you were playing. Still solid, still has a good pitch mix. Wish he had a slider instead of that slurve. Slurves are just so slow. They give people time to sit back on them. But he is still solid and has, mediocre through nines that can make him decent in the bullpen. This Felix card is a gimmick pitcher. I will say it straight up. He's a gimmick pitcher. He has a really hard release to time and see the ball out of, and he throws an outlier fastball. Pretty much a gimmick pitcher, similar to Sale, except I'd say he's probably more effective than Sale. Additionally, all 3 pitches that he throws tunnels off each other really well. If you can master the tunnels with those 3 pitches, it's pretty much guesswork for the hitter to guess what pitch is coming out of his hand. Garrett Cole, I think, is fine. He's similar to Kershaw. He can take up the back end of a rotation. If you're starting him for your ranked game, it's up in the air. Is he going to give up 5 runs? Is he going to give up 3 runs and have a quality start? You really don't know. He's just kind of mid. Really underwhelming ranked reward. Maddox, a card I thought would be better than what he is. He's gotten shelled for me, even on Hall of Fame. I think he throws too slow for what Legend is this year. I don't see too many benefits with Greg Maddux other than sometimes, somehow, all the factors that contribute to your PCI size when you're hitting. Sometimes he gives you a really, really, really small PCI, and it doesn't really make sense when it happens, but sometimes he can do that. Hilton Smith, this guy's terrible. This guy's awful. Maybe you can make the argument for B, but, there's a reason he's the XP Path card. It's because he's not very good compared to the other ones. Jake Peavy, kind of a slept-on card, similar to Morton. He can take up the back end of a rotation, has a good pitch mix, just doesn't throw that hard. I'd probably take Morton over him. Paxton, a card I am not a fan of. I think he's BP. Everything he throws just looks so slow, so loopy. I feel like he just gets barreled super hard. Just not a great pitcher, even though in theory with his pitches he'd be fine. Donaldson is S. I do not think he's that dominant. I think Pedro was a better pitcher for his time. I think Randy is way better than him. But he is S tier because the outlier slider can be kind of tough. My only concern is that it is close to the speed of his fastball and sinker, so he might be a foul ball demon. He might just get fouled, give up a home run. That might be, your life if you're using John Donaldson. But also, he is a two-way player, so if you do exploit the stamina glitch, he is invaluable that way. Being able to just have him eat innings, right? Even if you don't think he's very good, he can come in, he can eat some innings for you, make you not have to blow up your bullpen in a game where you're up by 5 runs. So he has some value that way also. Scribner, you may have Scribner, whatever. You may have seen this card if you play BR, his silver. Just has a funky release, nothing too spectacular with the pitch mix. He's about bang on average. I would probably put him in the bottom of B. I don't think he belongs with these bozos, but in general, he is all right. Smoltz throws hard, has a splitter. I think he's solid. I think he can be a good 3, 4, 5 starter. I would take him over all of these, with the exception of maybe I'd think about Mize, but I do think Schmaltz is better than all of those. If he had an outlier fastball, he would be probably top of A tier. Loizaga, if you want an outlier sinker that actually procs, it's this guy. He is similar to his WBC card, just slightly better. Basically, if you ever did the Hoffman boost with the WBC card, that's what this one is. He is solid. He tunnels his sinker and his circle change extremely well. So he is solid. I think a lot of people might have gotten a lot of reps against him, though, so I would be cautious bringing him in. Haters A tier as a lefty specialist. This card should never see a righty. Even if it's, 2 lefties and 1 righty in an inning, I would not pitch him. If you need a lefty specialist, this card's fine. He should never face a righty ever. Verlander, still S. I think he fits in the best rotation in the game. He's probably like the 4th or 5th best starter in the game now. But that pitch mix is tried and true. He is a slightly worse version of Pedro, slightly better version of Grayson Rodriguez. If you did enjoy those cards, this Verlander is very similar, and he is very solid in that regard. Kenley, probably still the best reliever in the game overall. Pitches to righties and lefties well, throws that cutter really hard. Basically looks like he has outlier on it. His only problem is the control can falter a lot. He can choke some saves for you. So maybe he's more of like that 7th, 8th inning guy, and you lean on somebody like Mo for the 9th. But Kenley can be very solid if you get the right start out of him. I think this Kerry Wood's solid. On the All-Star, he's probably definitely A tier. I think I'm going to put him bottom of A. The outlier fastball is just too good. He has a good pitch mix, not amazing. The walks are really low, right? So you're going to have to pitch with him knowing that, but that can be a positive in some regards. He's not terrible. Senga, top of B tier. Really weird release. I don't know if he has an outlier fastball or if he just throws really hard, but the monthly one or the Tops Now one, whatever it was from set 1, was pretty solid for his time. This card is very similar in that regard. Again, can take up the back end of a rotation, and he's not that hard to get. So, this Stroman on Legend is probably an S tier pitcher. He probably fits into the best 5 starters in the game for sure. Hall of Fame, he's probably like A, and then All-Star and below, he's probably like bottom of B, C tier. He throws pretty slow, and all his pitches go the same speed. You're going to get the most value out of him on Legend for sure, but I think he can hold it down on Hall of Fame difficulty. Mo, still S tier, basically Kenley, but throws a little bit slower, but has way, way, way better control. So Mo's more of the control freak. Kenley is more overpowering. Digo, can't believe this card's a collection reward. I don't know how many people are going to get him. If they make him as easy as the last month's, collection reward, then I guess some people will end up with him. begrudgingly, I would imagine. Cool if you want to do like a Negro League team, but there's no captain boost for him, so he's just kind of mid. I think he has an outlier fastball, and the pitch mix isn't terrible. So, sure, I'll give him A tier, but it's not a strong A tier. Similar to Garrett Cole, probably. For a collection award, he's F tier. Scherzer, mid. Mid. If you like the 99 Scherzer, you'll probably like this one. Again, similar to these other guys in B, he can bring up the back end of a rotation. Definitely not going to be your ace. Kelleher, very similar in that regard. Back end of a rotation, not going to be your ace. Has a good pitch mix, throws somewhat hard. Not a bad pitcher, not great either. Nolan, I think, drops out S tier. He's somewhat of a gimmick pitcher. It's 50-50, right? Are you going to start him against somebody who has no problem against outlier fastballs and is a decent player? Or are you going to start him against somebody who can't touch outlier fastball and has to camp on it and gets blown away by the off speed? It's really 50-50. He is solid. I still think he throws the fastest fastball I've seen all year. But, I've played against him in ranked on my last ranked push. And I put up 6 in the first inning off of him. So if you play somebody who's got no problem against outlier fastballs, he is probably going to struggle. Skeens. I like the Skeens card a lot. Reminds me a lot of Roki Sasaki. His cutter does some stuff that I don't think I've seen any cutter do all year. Sometimes he throws it and it darts really far across the plate. Sometimes he throws it and it just drops like a changeup. And sometimes it just stays flat and stays in the zone. I don't understand the cutter. The rest of his pitches are kind of mid. Basically think Jacob deGrom with the cutter. That's pretty much what Skeens is. Randy, definitely top of S tier. Definitely the best pitcher in the game. None of these other guys are in order, but he has to be at the top of S tier, obviously. Gossage, control issues, right? He is very hard to hit. He does throw a very fast outlier fastball, and he can tunnel pretty well with the changeup and the slurve. He's all right. He's all right. Can have some control issues. Can get in some bad pitchers counts and give up some nukes. This is the biggest question mark in the tier list for sure. I don't know how good this card is. A lot of people have asked me what an outlier screwball even looks like. And honestly, I have no idea. My feeling is that it won't be that great. We know the screwball, they kind of have messed up timing windows if you had to hit off that Devin Williams on high difficulties. Sometimes you just swing on it and you feel like you're good and you're not. And so if it exploits that strength of the screwball a lot and it's really, really hard to time up, then I could see him being solid. But I'm going to put him in A for now until I've personally used him. Sandy, probably one of the stronger pitchers in this tier. Again, another guy who can be that 4th or 5th best starter in the best rotation in the game if you are really comfortable with him. Satchel Paige looks really good, right? This guy's going to throw 102, 103 every pitch, and he has a screwball that's really slow. And he's got that really long windup that lulls hitters to sleep. Very good card. Probably one of the better World Series rewards we've seen in a minute. Barlow, I'm tempted to put A tier. I'm going to put him top of B tier. I think he's fine. If he comes in the game, he's not free runs given up. Really, I think that's all you can ask for out of like a 97 overall reliever at this point. They're not going to be dominant, but I feel as comfortable with Barlow as I would with this Craig Kimbrell for sure. McClanahan, not very good. Throws like 2 pitches basically. Not very good. Doesn't even have the outlier fastball that you probably really want him to have. I think he's pretty mid. I think I'm going to be harsh on him just because of what he is. He's like a stepping stone team affinity collection reward. You're probably going to see this card some online. He probably shouldn't be used. I can't necessarily say he's worse than Paxton because of his release point. He is similar. He's basically a left-handed Scherzer, but with one less pitch. He's just mid. He's mid. For a 99, he's mid. This will probably be somewhat controversial, but I do have a reason for it. This Shohei has a better pitch mix than the last Shohei, so that is a bump for him. A knock against him is his walks are insanely low. He's going to have absolutely massive bars, especially on the sinker. It's going to be really nasty stuff on that sinker. The reason he stays in S is the same reason as Donaldson. I don't think either of them are exceptionally strong pitchers, but if you are someone who exploits the stamina glitch, then he's invaluable for that. He can save your bullpen. That's about the only time I do it personally. Is if I'm up like 5 runs, I might bring one of these guys in just to eat innings. Right? I don't want to blow up my bullpen in a game that I'm like 85, 90% sure I'm going to win anyway. So I will bring them in occasionally there, and they do have a lot of value. The Strasburg, for his time, was probably like bottom A, top B. Now he's just not very good. Scooball, I have a soft spot for as a Tigers fan, and he had a pretty good monthly card last year that a lot of people slept on. I do think he's better than Mize. I would put him in the top tier of this one. You might can make an argument for A, but I think so many people are so ready for lefties in terms of like Randy Johnson with their lineup that pitching a lefty that throws kind of slow in regard to Randy is not going to be very good for you. So Seaver's solid. I think he's a top end option. I think he is everything that Nolan Ryan kind of isn't. So you have your gimmick pitcher that is extremely overpowering, and then you have your kind of finesse ground ball pitcher that throws a sinker that is kind of fast and can get some people out. But he's going to induce a little more contact. He's going to be a little less volatile than somebody like Nolan. So it's really what do you want out of your start. Hoffman on like Hall of Fame, I think might even have an argument for S tier. I'm putting A. I think that's where he belongs. I think All-Star, he's probably a B. Legend, he's probably an S. Hall of Fame, he's probably an A. So I'm gonna leave him in A. Walker Buehler is historically BP in MLB The Show. Maybe this one's different, but I'm going to land on the side of I doubt it. He's probably still going to be bad, even though they gave him a slurve and a cutter. I don't see it. He's always BP in the show. This is the wrong Yanira Cano, but there is a 97 All-Star Cano that is basically this exact same card. I think he's fine. I don't think he's one of the stronger relievers in the game. I would rather have Loizaga or Hoffman brought into the game instead of him, but he is solid. And this Gallon for an XP path reward is, mid. For a boss, he's pretty below average. Maybe you can make the argument for A tier. I think his through 9s are good enough for him to be A tier, so I'll put him there. But I don't think he's going to be especially hard to hit. But he is similar to a Kershaw. He's a right-handed Kershaw for the most part. Does throw a cutter, which is a plus, but not very overpowering by any means as a pitcher. So we will save this, and I will review it for you guys. Maybe, if Showzone wants to. Okay, we'll just do it manually. It'll probably update halfway through. So S tier, this is our S tier right now. These are the guys I feel like have to be in your rotation and bullpen. Other than this, I think it's personal preference. Here we go. So A tier is all, exceptional options. I think they're all good. It did kind of reorganize these and make me look really low on Rube Foster when I think he is knocking on the door of S tier. I think he can be if he is very good. Camilo, if you play on Legend, is probably S tier. Same for Felix. These other cards, just kind of exist. B tier is like back of the rotation guys. You can have some confidence in these guys, but you're probably warming up the bullpen in the second and third innings in case things go wrong. And then C tier, these are cards I would not mess with. These are cards that I'm going to laugh if I see you starting online. They are BP. It's mostly because they have bad pitches. In Hilton Smith's regard, I'm pretty sure his through 9s are pretty bad. I will double check and make sure I'm not wrong. I mean, that's just mediocre. I'm pretty sure, he throws a curveball as his primary pitch. That is typically not a good sign for a pitcher. So, guys, that is going to be the pitching tier list as of set 3. These are the guys I think should be comprising most of your guys' rotations and bullpens. And if this was helpful at all, Feel free to like and sub. Until next time, peace.